2, 1. Welcome everybody to another episode of On Beat Off Script, an album review. We're going to be covering I'm Only Fucking Myself by Lola Young. I don't usually swear when I try to do these, particularly like not like dropping F-bombs all the time, because I feel like it takes away from the review. I don't really have a choice here with Lola Young, because that's literally in the name of the album. So also with the title of multiple songs as we go through everything. Yeah. It's going to be impossible to avoid. But
it's a mature album for sure.
Yeah, we're all the way there. I'm Brandito. I'm joined by my co-hosts Mel and Bob. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, feeling good, looking good. Oh man, things couldn't be better in life in general.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're pretty hot, huh?
Yeah,
we're a hot looking group.
We're hot.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm chilling.
Cool.
I'd fuck myself.
I'm sure so would Lola. Based on how this whole conversation goes. Let's just dive all the way into it, I guess, right? Yeah. We've covered Lola Young before, so you guys have heard a little bit about her, if you guys have been paying attention, episodically, the way that we release all of these things. But if you haven't, here's a little bit about her. Lola Young is an English indie popper from London, England, who's been active in the game since 2019. Her stepfather was a bass player, and her mom worked towards helping her continue with her musical talents, and at 6 years old began playing the guitar, piano, as well as doing singing lessons. Began songwriting at the age of 11. Going from there, she entered multiple competitions to strong praise and eventually signed with Amy Winehouse and Adele's managers, Nick Shermansky and Nick Huget, respectively. Huget, I don't know. Something like that.
I like Huget.
It's
like nougat.
One of those. You tell me, Nick. Either way, the Knicks, we'll call them for right now. Not the Brooklyn, but anyways. The Nets, the New York
That's
Knicks.
The Nets, yeah.
That's right. I don't know. I'm from Canada, man. In 2019, she signed on with Island Records and dropped her debut single, 6 Feet Under, and her first EP, Intro, and her follow-up EP, Renaissance, the year later. Over the pandemic, she maintained writing and recording and was able to maintain relevance enough to be nominated for the Brit Award for Rising Star, and finally dropped her debut album, Stream of Consciousness, in 2022. She's been steadily producing an album a year since, with My Mind Wanders and Completely Leaves in 2023, and This Wasn't Meant For You Anyways in 2024, which got her the platinum certified and international recognized single Messy, which went mega viral, and got her the ability to work with the likes of Tyler, the Creator, on the album Chromacopia that same year, and as an opening act for the likes of Billie Eilish in 2025. Her musical style is a blend of pop and soulful R&B, with a sort of grittier London vocal, and, pretty witty, if that's what we'll call it, or vulgar lyricism. Pulls a lot from popular songs of the 80s and 90s in those soulful R&B aesthetics. Where was I at? In a more pop rock kind of way of the 2000s. I'm Only Fucking Myself is her third studio album. It's about vices. She's been pretty open about her issues regarding drugs and sex, and this album is designed to be a way to express the challenges that she faces while being a young bisex celebrity and going through some of these really critical moments of weakness and overcoming them. Or maybe not, sometimes. It turns out that a lot of these songs are about not overcoming them and actually just allowing the vice to take over.
Hey, she's self-aware. She's calling herself out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, before we dive into the album, what do you guys have to say about Miss Lola Young?
I do want to point out the album art cover. I think it's pretty badass, honestly, because you guys will see in the bottom right corner if you're watching our video feed. She's embracing a blow-up doll with her face on it in an album called I'm Only Fucking Myself. I think that's great thematically. And I will also say, I think I consider myself a pretty intelligent fella, and I can say that vulgarity is a huge part of my vocabulary. So I don't think that's necessarily, a bad thing in general, to be vulgar.
I second that.
When the times come for it, there's a lot of times I'll be vulgar when the times do not call for it. But yeah, so yeah, that's all I got to say so far.
Over and over again, it gets sold.
It depends.
And I'll be honest with you, Bob. I don't know what a blow-up doll is, so could you explain that for anybody?
Well, you see, a blow-up doll is kind of a companion, if you will.
I want to hear the answer. No. What if people don't know?
Milk and
I am also a very crude young lady. I relate to a lot of what she's saying. I've been a big fan of Lola for a little over a year now when she dropped her 2024 album. And this was probably one of my most, one of the albums I was most excited to come out this year.
Yeah. We're a product of our environment, Mel. I think vulgarity is kind of what we grew up in. So,
But Canada must just be a lot.
Oh no, there's
nicer.
lots of vulgarity up here. I just feel like there's a time and a place, and maybe it doesn't have to be every other line.
I think it is. I think it is really funny how you say you try not to curse because you think it takes away from the review, and I am the most vulgar fucking person, as I say it on this podcast, and it's like he doesn't take me seriously clearly because I said fuck.
I know.
You're a professional.
I don't take you seriously. In fact, I think I've made that pretty clear throughout multiple episodes. Like, this is like our 8th month recording this, and yes.
True.
Correct.
Which is a pretty serious podcast. 8 months. And look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're sticking with it.
Yeah.
Us and our 68 YouTube subscribers.
That's right.
Shout out to you fuckers.
All right. Well, the whole album starts off with a interlude called "How Long Will It Take to Walk a Mile" interlude. I don't have any clips of it because there's not really a whole lot there. It's just an interlude of her or someone talking to start everything out as a kid. Yeah, it's just kind of an interlude. Unless you guys have more notes on it, you guys have something that you wanted to say?
I thought that there was actually a cute little insight in here. So, like, how long will it take to walk a mile is essentially her way of saying how long will it take for us to get where we want to be, and they answer it saying 45 minutes, which is the approximate length of the album. So I thought that was really I thought it was a really cool node of like, this is literally an album full of her exploring like the messiest parts of herself, and she's kind of like coming to terms with her addiction and all of her awful coping mechanisms. And I think it's just a nice little nod that by the end of this she hopes to be in a better place. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool little opening.
You got a lot more out of that than I did.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I listen to what people say.
Yeah, that was way more insightful. She says somewhere she's grateful for cows, that there's cows, and I'm also grateful for cows. So
yeah, cheese is sick.
Cheese is good, milk is good. Love a good steak. So that's what I got out of this. Yeah.
Steak, duh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that moves us on to the next song.
Screwview's going awesome.
Fuck everyone. So let's
Me
listen.
and Brandino are not going to be on the same page.
Let's listen to "Fuck Everyone."
She bent me over in the garden, mud on my knees. Off the people in the party posted stories, and I got famous from it, baby, and I don't mind. I just wanna fuck guys who don't like me and don't mind. I just wanna fuck girls who don't love me, they don't mind.
That scratchy noise is so manic and fun. I love it so much. She opened up with like a really punky vibe. This song is very, very messy, very dirty, and I think it's a really good representation of what she's struggling with internally. Like, she has the line, "I've been fucking like no other and I don't cry." Like, she's obviously saying she uses sex as a coping mechanism. And the lyrics are her acting like so nonchalant about sex, but she's clearly using it as a distraction because she's hurting inside. And that, yeah, I think that distortion that she added into the song too just gives us insight to how she's actually feeling like internally. I thought it was a really good way to open up.
Yeah, I had kind of the opposite reaction to like this like brain itchy kind of stuff going on, and I don't even know what to call it. But at the very beginning of the song was kind of very weird, very distorted. I didn't know what to think about it. I think the outro is a bit better with that, and maybe I'm just used to it by that point. It's a catchy song. This is my first impression of Lola Young because I don't think I was part of the episode you guys covered it before. I'm not sold yet, to be honest with you. This song didn't do a lot for me. Wasn't having a good time with this, but we're in for a ride.
Fair.
We'll see.
Yeah, the production on this was nutso. Honestly, really cool production sample. I was a big fan of it myself. Lyrically, awesome. or sorry, lyrically I said Jesus. Music production is awesome. Is what I was trying to say. Like musically, I
was like,
it's
that's
really,
not
really
what
cool.
I think you're gonna say.
Lyrically, it's vulgar. It's I worry that it's vulgar for vulgarity's sake and not because it actually does anything. And this was the introduction to the album, which kind of immediately made the album. I knew it was going to be something I was going to be disappointed in.
I don't think it's vulgarity for vulgarity's sake.
for
I
sure it
think
is.
it is very
There's
much
so many
she's
other
masking.
ways you can say everything that she's saying in a lot more of a creative mindset.
It is such a it's masking. Okay, so I'm gonna take a second to talk about my sister here for a second because I relate this album heavily to my sister, and if you've had a conversation with my sister, she's somebody who is even more vulgar than me. I've actually had to tell her to tone it back often. But she is also somebody who is trying so hard to put on this persona that nothing bothers her. And it is so far from the truth. So I think that this is just her trying so hard to look tough and act tough. And like, sex is so cool. I don't give a fuck that these guys don't have feelings for me, which could not be further from the truth. She is hurting so much inside. And I think it's a mask.
Yeah, but I get that. So what you're doing is you're masking on the art piece. For me, honestly, I think that that's just a brutal way to do it. If you want to expose yourself and you want to have the conversation, then stop masking it.
She does. She gets there.
I know she gets there, but then this. I don't think that this track needs to be what it was. You know what I mean?
It's the start. She's literally starting off with the messiest, most fucked up part of herself.
I think, but she keeps bringing that back. Yeah. So even in her most vulnerable moments on this record, she still backs onto vulgarity. So I can't sit there and say that that's exactly
because she uses it.
So
she uses it as a crutch, and she's using it as a crutch throughout the entire album.
But so she's opening it up, being like, "I'm using this just to tell you that I use this as a crutch, but then I'm going to continue to use this as a crutch throughout the whole album." In the most vulnerable moments, I'm still going to keep using it as a crutch.
Yeah, because she's not.
The whole purpose of the first song.
She isn't completely done healing. She's on this journey, and she's just taking us through it.
No, I think
it is so spot on.
Oh, this is brutal. It's a brutal argument.
We're not going to agree with a lot of this.
That whole point, because you're basically saying, well, she's using this to be able to set up where she's coming from and what she's trying to recover to, but then she never ever gets there either. So.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, though. It's mental health isn't a quick fix.
You're excusing her vulgarity.
I'm
it's
just
not her
explaining
it
to you. I think you just. I think you're completely missing the mark on this.
I think you're both right, but I do think that I think this relates to Mel far more than it relates to Brand New.
Yeah,
I think that's
true.
showing here. I think that it's doing its job in that regard. I agree with Brand New. I do think there's some shock factor here to it, and throughout the album, I think there's a shock factor. I think that's more intentional than Brand New is making it out to be. But I think you're both right, honestly.
I'm not saying it's not intentional, but it's intentional shock value, and I'm not going to buy into intentional shock value. This isn't reality TV. You have a chance to be able to put it on an art project, so do that.
I think it's spot on with the whole concept of the album.
Well, that's one thing we can both argue about, which is the name of the next song, which we already covered. We covered this in our Track Attack, episode 10, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have a clip for it because we already covered it, so if you want to hear it, make sure you pop into episode 10. So one thing, if you guys want to go ahead.
This is my first exposure to the song. I thought this was a banger, honestly. I really liked this song a lot. The bass is carrying throughout the whole thing. The beat is cool. Save that big dick energy for my mouth is quite a line. I'm sure you guys went over that when you
hell yeah, brother.
That's a lot. I'm siding with Brandy a little bit more on that one, but it's a great line.
This is what I mean. It's
yeah. Well, she seems very horny in this song, but the song is in general a banger. I had a great time listening to this song.
This song has been on repeat for me since it first dropped as a single. I've been obsessed with it ever since. There's obviously like a heavy messaging of like, if men can act like that, why can't I? Sonically, I think it's a bop. Lyrically, I think it's very liberating to hear a woman be so confident about herself and her sex life. But again, when this first came out, I didn't realize how much she was using using like sex as a crutch. I think she, is doing a better job pretending like everything is okay in this one. Like it's not as, I don't know. I love this song.
I think
I love
this
it.
covers what she was talking about in one thing, or sorry, in Fuck Everyone. I think this does a better job of that.
Of conveying the message.
Of
I
actually
get that.
getting the message,
I agree.
and also it being artful at the same time. It's not of her actually sounding like she's going to make a change.
Yeah.
I honestly, Fuck Everyone put such a bad taste in my mouth. This is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah. I agree with Fuck Everyone is far from my favorite song from the
it
album, but I
sucks.
just think
Honestly,
it makes
I genuinely
sense.
think it was just like the ability to pull out a baseball bat and try to hit everybody in the kneecaps to start the album. And I feel like I said, it was shocked. That's why I say it was vulgar for vulgarity's sake. That song was not a good song because of the way that she decided to take it. This song still portrays the same message that you're trying to talk about, but does a better job.
Yeah.
So, like,
I will
I'm
agree
fine
with
with
you on that, but
I'm fine with
I'm
that.
still fine.
Fuck Everyone was just such a bad song. And like,
It's definitely like one of the worst songs for me too. I agree. but-
exactly, because it's
But-
so abrasive. It's being abrasive for the sake of being abrasive. This is cool. The production on this was really good. Honestly, production throughout the whole album was really solid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A super fun guitar lick. There's a nice filter on it. I was a big fan of it. Honestly, I was a big fan of it back in episode 10, so I was a big fan of it again now. It still bangs. The whole album sounded like a top production record, in my opinion. I think that this will be nominated for production producer of the year.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember who it was. I think I have it written down in my notes somewhere further down. Yeah, I'm still a fan. Not a whole lot of notes to put on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect track. Love
And
it.
then we slide into Dealer. Let's listen.
Get away, far from here. Pack my bags, my drugs, and disappear. Tell you no, make it clear. I'm not coming back for 15 years. I wanna ride a note, leave it with my next door neighbor who don't give a shit. I wanna get away, far from here. Pack my bags and tell my dealer I miss him. Hey, tell my dealer I miss him.
Was this a single too? Was this already out? Okay, I was gonna say I know I've heard this somewhere.
This was a single that when it dropped, Elton John actually said that he had her on her podcast and said that this should be like an instant #1 hit. And if it's not, he's going to give her the keys to his house. And then it didn't. So then he just recently like joked around and had her over for like dinner and like jokingly gave her the keys to his house. It was really sweet. Anyway, I thought that was cute.
That's kind of cool.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you could say your thoughts now.
I like this. I think the last song, the last single, put a good taste in my mouth, and then this sounded vaguely familiar to me. I know I've heard it before, and I remember having a good time when I heard it before, so I was having a good time again with this. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's a really big change up from the track beforehand. Still awesome production on it. I thought
Yeah.
it was great there. Sort of this indie poppy kind of quippy guitar moments in it. It brought her vocals to the very front, which I thought was really nice. Lots of really well placed sound moments that make it a really fun track. Yeah, some of her vocal inflections are actually really well put together. Like really nicely timed, pleasantly done, like not overbearing or showy. It's really cool the way that she played around with that kind of stuff. It's a great pop rock track, and I was gonna be really happy if this was the album that we were gonna get from that point on.
Yeah. Yeah, this was another one that's been on repeat for me since it came
was a
out.
favorite.
I think we've got like back-to-back bops. I love how upbeat it is, but context-wise, there's that like really sad undertone that like her dealer seems to be a priority and who she needs to say goodbye to. She's like willing to leave everybody else behind, and her drugs and her dealer are a priority, which I think is just kind of like heartbreaking. But she masks it so well with the beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, big
Yeah.
fan.
And then we get into Spiders. Let's listen to Spiders.
This is my favorite track. Are you gonna shit on it? This is my favorite.
Get in your car, don't cause a scene. Make me feel like I'm not in your bleed for once. 'Cause I'm not a woman if I don't have you. I'm not a woman if I don't have you. And you're not a man if you
The fuzz. I love the fuzz
Oh
so
god,
much.
that's the most annoying part.
I love it so much. Her belting literally gives me goosebumps. I love that she's just scream singing here. The emotion
that was
really
so
comes through.
brutal.
I also think it's so heartbreaking that she's like directly tying her worth to a relationship, but she's being so brave and just facing it head on. Like she is very aware of her issues and she's not hiding them at all in this album. I loved this track. I love to scream sing it in my car.
Yeah, half-assed internet research. It seemed like this is everyone's favorite track that I saw reviews
Love
of.
it.
People love this track. I think the
Love it.
production is, I wrote down production is distorted, it's raw. I think that's intended because of the subject
Mm-hmm.
matter here. Like it does have a almost disturbing sound to it. And I agree with you there, Brandon. But like I think it works for this song and for the subject matter. I think
They
the lyricism
completely
here.
screwed this one up.
I think the lyricism here is good.
Love.
I love it too, honestly.
Yeah, love it.
Like I knew there would be something that slows down. The White Noise Machine was an awful call after how good the production has been on this album so far. Like terrible. That was brutal. I think the slow up takes away from like the quippy in your face attitude that Lola Young has had the last couple of tracks, which was a little bit disappointing for me. I knew there
She's
would
not
be some
masking
slower,
in this
more-
song. I actually appreciate it.
I
She's
know.
not
I knew
hiding
there was going to
behind
be some
shit.
slower emotional tracks. And honestly, I'm not mad at Lola Young. I think in this at all. It's the production. The production is trying to do too much on this track. It is aggressively messy.
It is.
It's honestly like I honestly think that they ended up hurting the emotional vulnerability. This is what I mean when you're talking about it's not masking. Well, if you just mask it instead with the production, then you ruin the rawness that we were talking about.
I don't think it ruined anything.
The production
This is
destroyed
by
this track.
far
This was her
my
chance to
favorite
be
track.
able to redeem it for me, and but the production ended up then putting the mask up for her. It's still
I
not
love
coming
the
from her.
fuzz.
There's one track in this that actually feels genuinely raw, mask off everything, which we'll get to closer to the end of the album. This one sucked because it was like, cool, we're gonna get the more emotional raw, and then you're gonna blow it with the production. The production was awful on this one, Mel.
I get completely different.
I disagree.
I disagree too.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh, so bad.
Loved it.
And then
The-
we
just
get more
production
worse.
is bad. Yeah, but it's
Then we get
but-
then we get
It's
more
supposed.
awful.
She is messy. She's messy. It's allowed to be messy.
I understand that, but then in her most vulnerable moments, she's still defaulting to messy, and that's a problem.
That's exactly what she's saying.
Yeah, I don't think
That
it's
is
a problem.
exactly
Okay,
the
but
point.
then
That's the
saying
point,
that that's
yeah.
what I do, but not doing anything about it is not going to get any fucking bonus marks from me. And I just swore
That's fair.
because of that. That sucks. Penny out of nothing. Let's listen to this one because it's the same thing again.
This is another one of my faves.
So I create a penny out of nothing, take the bullet out of gun. I'll make a fool out of a man. I'll make a fall out of love. I'll make an atheist forgive, get on his knees and pray to God. I'll make you think I'm fine when I'm not.
Her vocals on this verse seem so out of rhythm with the instrumentals, and that draws me in so much. It creates this like really, really manic feeling again that I feel is so symbolic with what she's struggling with. The chorus I love, like she's essentially saying, look at all of these powerful things that I can do, but my biggest talent is masking my feelings. Like, love.
I agree.
Obsessed.
But again, you got the White Noise Machine again,
I'm okay with
which
it.
is brutal. No, it's the biggest cop out in the world. It's the biggest cop out in the world to throw a White Noise Machine on a pop track like this. It's trying to make it seem authentic, which the lyricism and the rest of the song has an authenticity by itself. You don't need to throw on this White Noise Machine. I'm agree. I like this backtrack a lot more than I like Spiders. Spiders, I despise Spiders.
It's
It's
literally, it's
actually
my
awful. It's brutal.
favorites.
This one, it didn't quite work for me sonically again because of these white noise and these production decisions that were made with it. Again, were really frustrating to me. the chorus was one of the few parts that they didn't have these things happening on it, and it brought me back into it. So I like this one so much more than Spiders, because at least there were moments when it wasn't like that. And then it keeps getting messy again, and then it starts throwing in scratched vinyl sound, and then it's just... They have the annoying weird laugh at the end and this weird bass thing, and like it's just like there's just so many weird decisions that are happening right now. Again, in what are supposed to be her more vulnerable moments on this album. Stop ruining the vulnerability of what she's trying to say with overproduction. It's just
There's something
destroying the
about it.
message.
She's been diagnosed with like a schizophrenic disorder, and I think like her music makes me feel that. Which is why I don't mind it. I don't know. There's something I feel that is just, it makes it very relatable for me.
I don't know, it feels very intended to me in that regard. I don't like this as much as Spiders. I do love the little bass line. Like that scratches an itch for me. I don't know what it is. Not my favorite song on the album, but I didn't mind it. I thought
If
it
it's
was fine.
helping you resonate with her more, I feel like that has less to do with it being musically good and more just whatever the messaging is in the songs. So, like, you calling it your favorite, sure, I can understand that, Mel. Musically, it's these last two tracks have been disastrous compared to how good the production was all the time before, all three tracks beforehand.
Yeah. There's
doesn't
more,
bother me.
There's more to music than the musicality, though. I think that's the difference here that's happening.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I don't
Yeah.
disagree with that. I
Yeah.
just think that this was not. You cannot overcome how bad they butchered the production on this. When
It
clearly
didn't
they've done such
bother
a good
me.
job. They butchered it. Anyways, let's move
Hasn't
on to
bothered me.
"Walk All Over You."
She's gonna pick your shit up, love you like a dog. When you come fix up, go get a life and get a job. Do you know the difference between me and you? Wow, you love me for your ego, I love you for you. So don't say you don't understand. Just 'cause you're a man don't mean you can sit there and treat me like shit on your shoes. 'Cause do me wrong, I'll put them on and I'll walk all over you.
I don't know where you got that clip from. That clip sounded a little bit more compressed than I think they usually
almost
do.
did, yeah.
It's probably the downloader.
Yeah,
that
no, I think that was just a weird one because I was gonna say this is when
Yeah.
the production came back
Yeah.
for me.
Great production.
Unfortunately, I'm like illegally downloading all of this music, so it either comes off of an illegal YouTube downloader or an illegal Spotify downloader.
No, it's not illegal to do it as long as you're using it for educational and review purposes,
Which
like
is what
we are.
we're doing.
Yeah.
So
But still, there's not really like a downloader that's like, you know,
Yeah.
like legit.
you're allowed to do it. You're just not allowed to redistribute or do anything with it. That's the difference maker.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
So this one, obviously, a lot more dream poppy, which I could be okay with. I was actually a big fan of it. Her vocals do a lot better, I think, when they're up in the forefront. Not fighting past all of the overproduction that the last two tracks had. We are getting a little bit repetitive in song structure. I found it was,
Slightly.
actually when I was going through, I could tell when I needed to start to pick my song clip because that would be. I was
yeah.
like, I've got a 5-second window that it's been now for the last 5 songs in a row, and it's like at like 40 seconds and like done at like a minute 20. Like I know exactly where to pull this clip from.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it did start to make it feel a little bit repetitive on that kind of start. Yeah, I just found myself catching the same last 2 bars of the verse, chorus, and a short
Yeah.
spot into the next chorus, and like that was just what I was consistently drawn
Yeah.
by. So I started to see just the almost aggressive similarities from song to song. But it wasn't an awful track. It was kind of whatever to me. Not one that I think I'd come back to, but not bad. Like any.
Yeah. My notes
Stretch.
kind of reflect that. I say another nice beat with good bass. It's catchy enough. The lyricism sounds like she's dealing with a deadbeat dude. She's done dealing with this shit. You know, this is I think this is the anti-man stuff that Mel was worrying me about. But
Yeah.
she it sounds like she's dealt with some shit. So like from her side of the story, the man's shitty. So you know,
Yeah.
be as anti-man as you want, girl. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought this one had a really smooth intro. We were singing along with the "You love me for your ego, I love you for you" line.
Yeah.
I loved that. Yeah, and I thought we were starting to see some growth in her, like maturity wise. Where like 2 songs ago she was belting her heart out about how she's not a woman if she doesn't have a man, and now she's just like ready to throw him away, which I appreciate, like, because he needed to be thrown away. But yeah, not my favorite, but I like it story wise and where we're going.
Sure. Then we get post-sex clarity. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
You make me wanna lose myself when I'm lying in bed. Got the post-sex clarity. Still love you and I don't know why. 'Cause every other man didn't mean a goddamn to me. When I finish, it's not the end of you and I. In bed, got the post-sex clarity. Still love you and I don't know why. 'Cause every other man didn't mean a goddamn to me. When I finish, it's not the end of you and I.
The first dude she's done, had sex with, if it did not be too vulgar, and that she doesn't want to kick out of bed, So she's found the one. It sounds like in this song. I love the guitar strumming in this song. It's a nice sounding song. Again, we're kind of at a lull of the album for me where it starts to sound a bit samey to Brandon's point. But yeah, solid track. It's good enough.
This is actually another one of my like faves. I also, in all caps, I have that guitar, so I agree with you on the guitar being a big highlight. I really like her deeper register here and like the cadences she's creating. I think they're a lot of fun. And then that messy outro, I felt like was a cool reminder that she, like, even though she's finding a little bit of that, like, she's kind of embracing her feelings a little bit, she's still not happy, and she's like at least finally starting to let herself feel something, but it's still messy and she's still not quite there yet. But yeah, I really like this track.
Yeah, it's obviously a slower spot, but I like the fact that it wasn't being overproduced, which was obviously a huge bonus. This was the right balance of her voice in the backtrack, which I think that they should keep going with. I think they kind of miss it still as we move forward throughout the rest of the album. Those lower spots in her vocal range I wrote down too, and I was like, I really like it. I wish she dabbled into it more throughout the album. I don't want her to just do a full album in her lowered register, but like a little bit more wouldn't hurt it for me in any way, shape, or form. I was so annoyed by the laughing sample. Stupid. That was so obnoxious.
Sorry.
But it
You hate joy.
the production is really solid, like, so far on this album, with the exception of Spiders and, like, most of Penny Out of Nothing. So, like, just don't try to do so much and, like, rip the song away from her, and I think everything goes okay. And then I could have done without the ending. But, like, whatever. Like, I
thought it was a cute little nod. How you're feeling about, okay, not to give anything away, how you're feeling about the production on this one is how I feel about the production on Doja Cat, which I think is so funny.
That's really funny.
That's probably, actually, like, that's pretty valid. I feel the same
That's
about
pretty
both.
valid. Yeah.
I'm actually, I'm okay with that. Which is
Okay.
why I'm so confused why you're so into this one. That's why I think that you're putting a lot more emotional investment to the songs that
Probably.
were really bad, because I want her to be more raw. I don't want those songs to be overproduced.
Fair.
Yeah.
That was her moment to win me back after Fuck Everyone made me so angry, because I'm like, cool, you're going to be vulgar. You're going to basically say, she Morgan Wallen'd me, in my opinion.
Oh,
Where she's going
Fair.
to say,
fair.
this is my problem. Cool, I'm just gonna double down on it. Like,
Fair.
stop
Fair.
doing that. But
get
anyways, that was my take on post-sex hilarity. We're gonna go into my favorite song of the album, though,
Ooh, okay.
which is "Sad Sob Story." Let's listen here. I do have songs that I enjoy here.
I'm mostly fucking with you.
Ryan was a talent, baby, he'd be an expert. I said that I could manage, fuck, I didn't need a lecture. And you're so sick that you made me miss my that you made about me weren't even ever really that funny. They were just to put me down.
Poor girl.
The British really comes out of her accent in this song. Like,
Really
she's
does.
just- yeah. Like, oh yeah, she's very British in it. Yeah.
But her vocals on this, I think, are mint. Like, truthfully, I actually think like this is what I was looking for, where she doesn't sound overproduced. She's actually just like talking about it and isn't masking it behind the production. That's why I like this song so much. I love the fact that we went with like a more manic R&B kind of sound to it. That was really nice. It was a big change up from just it kind of being regular kind of indie pop style. But yeah, her vocals on this were perfect in my opinion. And the lyrics are fun. The backtrack is fire. And the vocals were on point. I thought this was a great track. I love this track.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very quippy in this one, which I really, really enjoy. Like, she opened right up with lying was the talent, baby, you'd be an expert. And I thought that really just set the
Yeah,
stage.
100%.
Like, classic abusive man trying to isolate her from her friends. Like, then you have her touching on her daddy issues a little bit. Darling, you're mad, worse than my dad. Like, girl, this girl just does not have a positive man in her life.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan of it. Yeah, it's really sweet.
Cool. And then we go into, sorry, I should have said that was sad sob story, smiley face. Now we go into can we ignore it, frowny face.
Sad face.
Guess what I feel about it?
Overproduced. I love how explosive it is. We're obviously diving back into her struggles with addiction. Like, if you love me like you say, you'll let me escape. I was like, no, honey, enabling isn't love. I love the distorted guitars. I thought that I literally put this album's been full of incredible earworms that I can't get enough of. So I'm having the opposite feeling where it's like I feel like there's just a lot of like fun things happening that are kind of like enhancing my experience, not taking away from it. And yeah, it was just so explosive. I like when she fucking pops off.
Yeah. I tend to agree, Mel. I feel like there's a lot of uniqueness to some of the stuff that's happening with the music, with the production. That's making me happy. It's making me enjoy it more in a way. There's a cool breakdown at 3 minutes in the song that kind of dives into the instrumentals a bit, which is cool. The drums are carrying throughout the song. This is the song I typed. The girl has been through some shit, because that's essentially what the whole song is about. She's been through some shit. Yeah, I don't think it's one of my. I think it's the top half of the album as far as songs go. I don't think it's one of my favorite songs, but yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, this is bottom of the half for me. A lot more indie rock, which I was okay with the switch up to indie rock until it just got overproduced again. We got the same thing, this wall of overproduction, which is what I was worried about. I love the pre-chorus. I thought it was a super unique take. It's a really cool aesthetic. Said I would probably come back to it until the chorus hits, and the chorus is just so overproduced that it overpowers her and ruins it again for me. I love that musical interlude. I'm with you on that one, Bob. That was all. It was a lot of fun. Kind of felt a little bit out of place, but like,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I can get over it being out of place. The biggest thing, honestly, was the chorus was just overproduced again, and frustrating. Frustrating for me. I would have appreciated if they would have just let her. I would love to hear this song unplugged, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like this song would be a 10 out of 10 unplugged song, like to listen to her just sing
I
it.
would honestly love to hear any of it unplugged, because I love her voice so much, and I think her voice can carry a lot of it.
Really care if it's unplugged or not. But
Fuck
can we
you.
ignore it from space unplugged? I feel like this song would play really, really well. Honestly, like I truthfully will. So like, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the song. I just think the production team again botched this one, and here we are. You know. But why do I feel better when I argue with you, Mel?
Because hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, no doubt, hey?
Yeah.
This next track, why do I feel better when I hurt you? Let's listen, guys.
There's no other way around it, 'cause I know when we talk about it, it's always the worst that we could do.
as opposed to
I
the
love that
last,
guitar.
Lot super crisp production this time around. I feel like
Yeah.
a little bit of R&B vibes going on here. Yeah, very very solid song. I enjoyed this a lot.
I will say the way that this song starts, it starts really badly. I honestly thought
Agreed.
it was gonna
Yeah.
get really weird. You get this really soft guitar and these really awful sounding drums.
Yeah,
I genuinely thought, and then the slide guitar comes in kind of out of nowhere. I thought this was about to be like a Florida Georgia Line style track. Like I was so nervous, and then I literally wrote, I'm like, it pulled itself back around, like entirely. Like it's still this nice like R&B sound. I was like, I don't know what is about to happen here.
If she went Florida Georgia Line, I'd be pissed.
Honestly, like I don't know how to
Legit.
feel about. I like this song. I was so nervous. I'm like, what is about to occur? The start to this song sounds terrible,
Yeah,
and then it just like pulls itself all back around to a really solid track. Yeah, you get these nice like R&B kind of vibes with it. This bluesy guitar. I was really happy with it. The slide guitar sliding in and out every once in a while was like a play for sure.
I think it's so fun.
I think it's fun too. It's not necessarily the creative direction I would have taken it on, but I can still like understand. Like it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, just like that beginning, I was panicked. Ay.
Yeah, I don't have any notes that you guys haven't already said. I was just a big fan of the guitar, love an R&B vibe. Her vocals top tier.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was a fan.
Yeah.
checks out.
That takes us over Not Like That Anymore, which I'm so glad that after the first part of this, I could say that the last track was Not Like That Anymore. Let's listen to Not Like That Anymore.
Goes on and on and on and on. And now I'm locked out, got nowhere to go. And my phone got stolen and my balance is low. But if I look on the bright side, at least I'm not fucking myself anymore, not anymore. And I got a little kick out of declining your call. I guess that means I don't need your dick at all. And so I'm fucking myself, but not like that anymore.
Guess
I
that
love this track.
guess that means I don't need your dick at all. Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
here's my problem: I'm not like that anymore, and it's at the very end of the track, and she's doing the exact same thing that she was doing that pissed me off in the first part of the album. So, like, no, you are still like that again now, and this is where I talk to you about how frustrating, like, what you're saying was the story of like watching her go through this process. Mm-hmm. This felt like her pretending that she got to the end. And I don't think that...
I think just because she's vulgar, it doesn't mean she's not showing growth. Like, I really like
But
that
it's
double
still
entendre of
massive.
fucking herself, like, a lot. Because it's like, yeah, she was fucking herself over with, like, her dumb decisions and her man addictions and her cocaine addictions. And now she's just, like, literally fucking herself now. She don't need no man. She can take care of herself.
You have to
As,
show up
as somebody
I
who's,
like it.
who's challenged like addiction and stuff like that in the past, I will tell you
Mm-hmm.
right now, what this sounds like to me is what you would tell the person who's trying to hold you accountable.
Like,
Just so
I'm
you can
doing
get
just
on.
fine.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay,
You
fair.
know what I mean? Like that's genuinely what it sounds like to me. Is just like I'm actually not changed, but I'm going to tell you that I changed because I just want to be able to move on and
Yeah.
don't want to have to deal with you anymore. And then that usually ends up being the same people that slip back into the same routines. You know what I mean? That's
Fair.
on the
I
story side of
actually
things.
like that. I like
Yeah,
that
but-
insight on it. That actually makes me like it a little bit more, though.
She does.
Sure, maybe.
She does say I can't say I'm happy, but at least now I'm heading the right way. So I mean,
Yeah.
she's on the process. I don't think she's. I agree where she kind of ends the song with I don't need that anymore. But like she's still in the process.
It kind of still
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm not actually done though.
Right.
Like,
It's
when
I just
she
need
was-
you to think that I'm done and then we're good.
Well, when she was putting this album together, she had literally just put herself into rehab.
Yeah.
So I don't think she was fully like, I don't think I still don't think she's fully through any of it.
Absolutely
but,
not. I could have told you that.
I just like how she's taking the full accountability. She's calling herself a dumb little addict. She's calling herself out for the shit that she does.
But then she's also saying, "But I'm not that anymore." And I think it's like tongue in cheek, being like, "But I kind of am." Like, you know what I mean? That's
maybe.
what it's. That's the way that I'm reading into it, and that's why I think the very beginning, where you're just like, "Hey, we're gonna start on this journey." And, like, she's trying to show you that this is where she was coming from. But she ends up there at the end, in my opinion. And so, like, I don't think the vulgarity is worth it for the fact that you're just going to go back to the same thing by the time it's all said and done. Now, what I should say is musically, because that's what I'm here for, not the lyrics or the story, it's a really fun track. Honestly, this is a really, really good, musically well put together track. We go back to kind of the way that it started. It's back to more her being in front of everything, which I thought was really nice. We had a bit of a lull in the middle, in my opinion, but I think there's a fun way to really make it feel like the album is coming full circle, which, based on the story that's involved, coming full circle is problematic because the idea was the start of the album was when she was her most problematic. So, full circle would mean returning to full problematic. Anyways,
she's made progress.
Lyrically, this was missing something to me. That's what it was missing, was the actual, like, redemption arc. I feel like this didn't redeem anything. I think it was just more slip back into the same tendencies, in my opinion. I think she gets a little bit raspy on the chorus, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was awesome. I wish the production team didn't keep throwing in these theremins for, like, no reason. It's really distracting from what I think is a really cool track. I think it was a weird earworm to throw into a track that I think was pretty solid by itself. But, like, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's using her humor here more as like a coping mechanism still. So yeah, I don't think she's fully through it, but I think what you're considering vulgar and like almost like a lack of growth, I think is just talking about it hurts, so she's going to make it funny in order to
which
be
is
able
a coping
to talk
mechanism.
about it.
I was going to say, that's the sign of not growing.
I know, but it's a different coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I laugh at everything to cope too. It doesn't.
I still do too. Absolutely.
I've made a lot of progress with my mental health, and I still laugh about it when I tell my stories or if I like relate to something, because it's hard to talk about. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's okay. I give it a pass.
Yeah, I know. But at the end of the day, who fucking cares? Let's listen to this one.
And I should probably take my medication, 'cause it's been days, but I've been busy getting high. And my doctor said you'll get sick again, you can't mix these meds with white lines. And am I happy? Truth is, I don't really know what that means anymore. All I know is that I'd like to be, and someday I might get there.
I can't hear her voice like that. It literally makes me bawl my eyes out.
This is what I was looking for the whole album.
Yeah.
I wrote down this and Spiders are the Mel Has Cried songs.
Yeah.
I wrote down Mel is this is one that touched me too. I almost cried during this.
This is the real one.
Yeah.
Now, my coping mechanism using humor and swearing to get through this does sound like if Ed Sheeran and Eeyore fucked.
Thank you.
Oh, now I have to listen to it again. God damn it.
Oh, that is really spot on. I do like that she throws in like the ridiculous like Radiohead like line, because at least like while I was like crying, I was laughing. So yeah, I need the humor to cope, because like hearing her voice that raw actually just like fucking stabs me in the heart.
Yeah.
I literally am sobbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
This
was a really cool song. She does sound great raw like this. She's a lot more talented than I gave her any credit for listening through all of this, because this was emotional. It came from a genuine place, but it wasn't overproduced, and it was just her and a guitar and doing something cool. And I think this was a really, really neat song.
Yeah, agree.
For that reason. So
It's not my favorite because I literally can't listen to it. But I love it a lot.
Yeah, this was a 10 out of 10 song for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I would this song more than any other I would listen to over and over again. Just to
because it was
invoke
genuine.
emotions.
It was
genuine,
so
yeah.
real.
Yeah.
They didn't try to mess around with it. They didn't try to do something different with it.
Yeah.
This was actually the mask is off, and
Yeah.
let's just
I
talk.
agree.
And this is what I was hoping for the whole time. That's why I fought against your
Yeah.
I get
the
it.
story that you built up about all of the other stuff, because I think like there's only one moment in this that actually like tells that is the story. And it's at the very end, and it doesn't
Well,
really
that's-
explain the rest of the vulgarity and everything else
I
that she
think-
has throughout the whole album.
That's leading up to this. Like, I don't think I would have the same appreciation. No, I guess I would, just because I relate to it a little too much. But, like, I just don't think you would have as much of appreciation if we didn't go through all of the fucking mess and the chaos to get to this part. I think it
Maybe.
makes it even more stand out for me because it is so incredibly raw. Like, it sounds so different from everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's
get
different
that.
purposes
Yeah.
for the different songs. I think, and this
Yeah.
this is the raw emotional moment. Yeah, absolutely. But if they had 3 of these in the album, then it's not as special. you
It
know?
takes it
Yeah.
away. Yeah, it takes away from it
I
completely.
can understand that. I
I
still
think
can't
I like
love fuck everything.
That's fair.
I think I
That's fair.
love
Oh, fuck
spiders.
everything's
Yeah. And I think I like spiders so much because it kind of almost gives me a little bit of this vibe, but I can listen to it. It doesn't fucking hurt me. Like, this song literally hurts me.
That's also a representation of how,
Yeah.
like, that distortion in the production is kind of how you
Yeah.
might feel on any given day.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
That's why I think that's intended.
Yeah.
But yeah, this great song. Regardless, I love this song.
I also think that there's better production strategies regardless that could have pulled
Yeah,
off the
fair.
same trick.
Sure.
So
Fair.
that's my other part too. The White Noise Machine is the cheapest machine
I don't disagree with that.
to
Yeah.
bring into
Yeah.
the circumstance. So
It
Sure.
gives it a little bit of, like, I don't know, like a garagey vibe that I like.
My mind is definitely a white noise machine a lot of the time. Constant buzzing going on in my head.
Yeah.
I can't be alone with my thoughts. So
part of the
yeah,
problem.
I like
Yeah.
the fuzz.
Yeah.
I need fuzz.
Give me fuzz.
I literally can't be alone with my thoughts.
that almost ends us off, because then we roll into a final "You're an absolute C word" interlude. It basically closes out the same way that it opens, which there's not a whole lot to work with there, but it's a way to close up a project. So it zips it up. If you guys have any words that you want to say about it.
This one I actually continued sobbing through. So like the entire thing is a voice note of she made her friend just like write a poem on the spot. So this is her just literally like freestyling a poem. And I think what her friend is saying in the poem is just really pretty.
It is. It is.
I think Lola comes in at the end cackling and calling her cunt to help end on a sillier note, which like, is it necessary? Absolutely not, because the poem is that pretty. But Lola is Lola. And I don't think she can fully be alone with her thoughts either. So I get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop crying, I swear.
I don't have many thoughts. It's a beautiful little poem that is apparently off the cuff, which is cool. I really think the album ends on Who Fucking Cares, and I think that's the
Agree.
proper ending. This is a fun little, whatever. But
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in conclusion,
Man, I'll start because I know Mel's still gathering herself a little bit. I enjoyed the production throughout the entire album. I know that's not Brandon's take, and that he can give his take in a minute, but I thought it was just great all around, and I think a lot of it was intentional and good. I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would coming into this, especially Mel saying this is anti-man, and some of it was anti-man and men suck kind of stuff, but like I feel like there's a good reason for all of it in here. I would much rather put this album on than Miley Cyrus's latest album, than Gaga's latest album,
yeah.
than Sabrina Carpenter's latest album. Like this is for me, this is much more of a hit than any of those that have come out recently. So to put her up there above those giants of the industry, honestly, I think is a testament of its own. Yeah, I had a great time. I rated this an 8 out of 10. I feel like I want to bump that up a tiny bit to like 8.1, 8.2, but for now we'll say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah. So on this one, there's a lot that reminds me of myself. There's a lot that reminds me of my sister. Sorry, I'm dealing with some sister stuff, which makes me so fucking emotional. I have a very deep appreciation for how real she is in here. I think this was a very brave album to release. I think she put all her flaws on mistakes on display, which people are going to criticize her for, and I think it's just very brave because she not you, bruh. So yeah, I think it's very brave of her. I do really hope it reaches the people who need to hear it the most. I do really like all the earworms. I literally can't stop crying. I can't believe I can't stop crying. Whew. I think there's a lot of incredible earworms, and it doesn't feel incredibly cohesive at points, but I think that's what makes it more special to me. Like, everything she's worked through is messy and it's manic, and I just think it helps things stand out even more, like when she does, like I said, have that breakthrough. I'm a big fan. I gave it an 8.5.
Yeah, Lola surprised me, honestly, on this one. I think her language is the reason that it struggled critically. And
I agree.
sonically, I think it's underrated because of it. Sonically, I think it did a pretty good job. I think she's really good with the lyricism, and I think if she had scaled back some of the vulgarity, it would have worked out better. It's not going to be for everyone. I don't think Lola cares whether it's for anybody at all, so
She
that
doesn't.
really doesn't matter whatsoever. I think there were points in the moment that the production was masterclass by Solomon Phonic and Manuka, but there were also some moments that were really, really bad. But it's still impressive because generally, once I start to hear problems with production, it's really hard for it to pull itself back out of that well. Once you start to hear something wrong that a producer is doing, you're going to catch it on every single track on a project. And they did a good job that they kept it limited to the tracks that were bad, in my opinion. It wasn't something that was a production philosophy throughout the whole project. Might be what creates some of the disjointedness to some of the songs, but either way, I still feel like they were able to recover on the tracks that they wanted to recover on. So that was appreciated on that side of things. Yeah, the lyrics were fun. They're good. They're abrasive, but they're fun and good. The musicality of the whole album is rock solid. It's a good show for me. I think she still has a lot of maturing to do. But again, I don't think she really cares. So, especially not what I have to say about it. It was a cool entry. I gave it a 7.8.
Nice.
Respect.
Yeah. I looking through my individual song ratings. I feel like if you take "Fuck Everyone" out of this album, it's a way better album altogether. Like, I would probably give it like an 8.5 myself, honestly, if it weren't for that first song. Because I agree, I don't think there's a place for it.
Spiders and Penny. But anyways.
Ugh, I love Spiders so much.
Oh, so gross.
I love it so much.
So poorly done. It was Solomon Phonic and Manuka messed that one up. That was where they botched it. But everybody out there, tell us if we're right. Tell us if we're wrong. I can guarantee you there's going to be more people saying that I'm wrong than right, other than the critics. The professionals that do this. Because it was a mess. But everybody loved that song because I understand the content matter is the most realistic and it brings people to a certain emotion. But tell us what your thoughts were in the comment section. Let us know. Please say the words. Let us know if I'm right, which I am, or exactly how wrong Mel and Bob are when it comes to everything here. But outside of that,
I want to know if you have just human emotions, because Brandito doesn't. I'm kidding.
Well, at the end of the day, maybe I'm only fucking myself. So, bye, Lola Young. Thank you guys so much
Lol.
for hanging out with another album review with On Beat Off Script.
Perfect.
I'm Brandito. I'm joined by Mel and Bob. We'll catch you on the flip.
Bye.
Bye.
3, 2, 1.